chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the nations, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars for Baal, and he made an Asherah, as did Achab, king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served them. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, whereof the Lord said, In Jerusalem will I put my name. And he built altars for the host of heaven, in the two courts of the house of the Lord. He made his son to pass through the fire, and practiced soothsaying, and used enchantments, and appointed them that divined by ghost or a familiar spirit. He wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him. And he set the graven image of Asherah that he had made in the house, of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Neither will I cause the feet of Israel to wander any more out of the land which I gave their fathers, if only they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. But they hearkened not, and Manasseh seduced them to do that which was evil, and more than did the nations whom the Lord destroyed before the children of Israel. And the Lord spoke by his servants the prophets, saying, Because Manasseh king of Judah hath done these abominations, and hath done wickedly above all that the Amorites did, that were before him, and hath made Judah also to sin with his idols. Therefore thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, Behold, I bring such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth of it, both his ears shall tingle. And I will stretch over it Jerusalem the line of Shamariah, and the plummet of the house of Achab. And I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I will cast off the remnant of my inheritance, and deliver them into the hand of their enemies. And they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies, because they have done that which is evil in my sight, and have provoked me since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin, wherewith he made Judah to sin, in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and his sin that he sinned, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his house, in the garden of Uzzah. And Amon, his son, reigned in his stead. Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Haruz of Yobah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as did Manasseh his father. And he walked in the way that his father walked in, and served the idols that his father served, and worshipped them. And he forsook the Lord, the God of his fathers, and walked not in the way of the Lord. And the servants of Ammon conspired against him, and put the king to death in his own house. But the people of the land slew all of them that had conspired against Ammon. And the people of the land made Josiah, his son, king in his stead. Now the rest of the acts of Ammon, which he did, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And he was buried in the sepulchre in the garden of Uzzah, and Josiah his son reigned in his stead. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now in the last chapter yesterday, we'll remember Hezekiah had recovered from his sickness now, and God had said the dial, the shadows, was going to go back now 10 degrees, and we're going to see that that's exactly what's happened. They've returned now to the former years that were before Hezekiah. He's dead now, and Manasseh took over, and even this time of the shadows of Achaz, these that God has grasped a hold of, because we remember now they was deep into idolatry at that time. And we're going to pick this up in verse 1 with Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Hephzibah. And Hephzibah means this, it means to be delightfully good or delightfully pleasant, to be good in a delightful way. And we're going to see Manasseh means to cause to forget, and he's the son now of Hephzibah, and he was 12 years old when he begins to reign. Now God wants you to witness the law in this golden circle, this understanding here. And he's going to reign for 50 years, even 55 years total. 5 in grace. And now grace is in the law of this understanding, even in these teachings. And we're going to see now, verse 2, he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the nations, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel. So he had returned now to the way that was going on before Hezekiah, as we're going to see in verse 3, for he built again the high places, which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up the altars for Baal, and made an Asherah, and did as did Ahab king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served them. So we see now Manasseh, this one who causes to forget, has returned to the ways that was before. He's reared up these altars. He's made altars for Baal, this image that men make, this Lord image. And he's made the Asherah, that which will cause shade, that which shades the understanding of God. And he's done the same thing that Ahab of Israel had done, because that's basically what the whole sundial was about yesterday for. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, whereof the Lord said, in Jerusalem will I put my name. So Manasseh now, he's gone as far as building an altar in the house of God. Building his own altar there, I should say. We know there is only one altar, and that would be the altar that God said you should bring your stuff for. He never give anybody permission to build another altar yet, or at all. 5, and he built altars for all the host of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. So even now in this house that Solomon built, and God said, now if you'll keep my law and do right's right, I shall put my name here forever. But we'll see, that's not what happened. They've turned sin, because God's intent from the beginning was to make this mighty house so he could show you that all men's going to ever do is pollute it. Because he's going to make a witness now, and that's exactly what he's done. Now witness these 2 courts where they've reared up these altars. Even twice now have they done this. And he made his son to pass through the fire, and he practiced soothsaying, verse 6, and used enchantments, and appointed them that divined by ghost or familiar spirit. He worked much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him. And he did that much evil, as did Israel, serving these idols, going away, having no understanding now of God at all, or the law of God. And we're going to find out that was the whole problem. Nobody teaches the law. Everybody has made the law of none effect. And he practiced these enchantments and appointed those of divine ghost. And these are people who say they can talk to the dead or raise up these spirits, and nobody's saying they can't. And they may say, hey, we do it for good, but there's no such thing. There's no such thing. See, God commanded for you not to do this. Period. 7. And he set the graven image of the Asherah that he made in the house which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. And that's exactly what God said, with the qualifier, if. See, remember that qualifier, if, that 2-letter word that's huge, if you will follow and my commandments, and if you will heed to my statutes, and if you will obey my ordinances, which I commanded my servant Moses. If, and if you don't. See, this was the other side of the if. 8. Neither will I cause the feet of Israel to wander any more out of the land which I gave their fathers, if only they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. And we'll see, yeah, that's exactly what, if only they will. But if only they don't, see, there we find now this is what happens. They'll end up raising this Asherah up and serving it. See, because God does this to you. God brings this upon you. God punishes you like this. It is a blessing to serve God in the law. It is a blessing to have the understanding of God. See? Now, turn and be blessed. 9. But they hearkened not. And Manasseh seduced them to do that which was evil more than did the nations, whom the Lord destroyed from before the children of Israel. So we'll see now, they didn't listen to God. They didn't listen to the prophets that God had sent. They wouldn't listen. God had hardened their heart. God had stiffened their neck, see, because that's who they are, and this is what they love, and God plans on punishing them. And Manasseh seduced them, beguiled them, tricked them totally. See, how? Well, his mother was Hephzibah, this pleasantness, this great pleasantness, now see, and that's how he did it. He come in through pleasantness and trickery of this good thing is pleasant, see, and that's exactly where the prophets get it from. And he causes them to do great evil before the Lord, just like all the other nations did. And the Lord spoke by his servants, the prophets, saying, and we remember now, this is that great time of the prophets. All this time here, these last few chapters that we've been reading, are these great time of the prophets. 11, because Manasseh the king of Judah hath done these abominations, hath done wickedly above all that the Amorites did, and were before him, and hath made Judah also to sin with his idols. See, because that's what Manasseh was doing, so the prophets were prophesying now. Well, it was just written history, and it was pretty easy to understand. But of course now God has blinded those, and by we'll see, the multitudes of them. But he does wickedly, Manasseh does, this one who causes us to forget, even above all that the Amorites do, or the Emory, this is a plural for the Emors, and these are now those enchanters, those soothsayers. That's what it means. The sayers, the enchanters, these that like to take the chief seat and stand up there and run their mouth all day and ain't really got nothing to say. 12, therefore thus say the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I bring such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth it, both their ears shall tingle. 12, once again, a little understanding here for you. Therefore thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I bring such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whoever so heareth of it, both his ears shall tingle. God's got a little something coming, see here. God is going to turn this all around now. They angered God probably for about the last time. They're going to get away with it. And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria and the plummet of a house of Achab, and I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, and wiping it and turning it upside down. God's going to clean the place up, see, just like a man would wash a dish. God's going to wash out Jerusalem, see. He's going to wash it out and then turn it upside down so it can drip dry. 14. And I will cast off the remnant of mine inheritance, and deliver them to the hand of their enemies, and they shall become a prey and a spoil to their enemies. And that's exactly what he did, and we're going to see that's exactly what happened in the end time. God has delivered everyone up. God has delivered them up. 15, because they have done that which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me, since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day. And that's exactly what they do. They continue to provoke God in their idolatry. They continue in the same old ways of sin, and they can't get out of it. See, and the world can't escape, because they won't put the devoted thing away, because they do love it so. But God's coming, and he's going to make an end of it. This has been going on since the children of Israel were brought up out of the house of Egypt, even out of that land of enclosures. ever since they was given the word to be set free. See, they have took it now and twisted it. 16. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin, and doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. So we're going to see now this one causes us to forget. He flat out commits murder. That's what this innocent blood is. He commits murder, and there's no one to be held responsible for it now. And this becomes innocent blood. There's no one to make atonement either for this innocent blood that's been shed. There's law that regards this, and they violated it, and we're going to remember now from the prophecies even back then, that prophecy of this heifer that's never known the yoke, that be brought down into the land where it's never known the till, never known the plow. See, yeah, that's what all this has to do with, and we remember then. Now there had to be somebody there to make atonement. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh and all that he did, and his sin that he'd sinned, they're written in the book of the Chronicles of Kings of Judah, and there we will find the witness against him. And Manasseh slept with his fathers and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah, and Amon, his son, reigned in his stead. So now we're going to see that Manasseh sleeps with his fathers. They bury him in his own house, in this garden of Uzzah. And this garden is this place where we plant our seeds. And Uzzah means this strength of a woman. It's a feminine word for strength. And basically that's what it means, a woman's strength. And this is the pleasant place, even this garden of a woman's strength. Now, that's what his mother represented from the beginning. And his son Ammon's going to reign in his stead now. And Ammon means this master workman. And this is going to be this skillful master one who makes the idol. Now, 19, Ammon was 20 and 2 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned for 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Haruz of Yotbah. So, now we got Ammon. He's going to be the son of Manasseh. He's going to reign for 20 and 2 years. Now 20 is redemption. 2 witness this circle here. And he's going to reign for 2 years once again now. His reign's going to be for a witness in this understanding about these peaceful teachings. And his mother's name was Meshullemeth. This Meshullemeth means this peaceful friend, this friend of peace. Once again, this is the way this is going to come in. This is the second time now. Witness this. God wants you to. She's the daughter of Haruz. And Haruz is this zealous. He's diligent and direct. Pointy even. This piercing thing. And Yotbah, this is the place where they come from. And this is to be well and good. And this is that pleasant place even that they come from. Even all this pleasantness now that's coming in. 20. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as did Manasseh his father. So we'll see now, Ammon continues in this pleasantness, just like his father did, even this evil that God has caused now, in this pleasant way. 21, and he walked in all the way that his father walked, and he served the idols that his father served, and he worshipped them. So he's going to continue doing the same thing his father did, and that's kind of like the old saying, like father, like son, but this ain't always the case. See, this ain't always the case. Hezekiah proved that, and we're going to prove that again. 23. And the servants of Ammon conspired against him and put the king to death in his own house. So we're going to see now Ammon, this masterful workman. His own servants are going to conspire against him and put him to death in his own house. 24. But the people of the land slew all them that conspired against Ammon. And the people of the land made Josiah, his son, king in his stead. So now the people of the land, they've gone out and they've killed all the ones that slayed the master workman. And they've gone and they've made Josiah, his son, to be king in his stead. So, and Josiah means God finds. And we're going to learn something here, because God wants you to find something. And this is what we've been searching for the whole time. This was the first witness of this thing that's going to be found, and we're going to get it later on. Now, the prophets are even going to tell us about it. And we're going to wait, though. We're going to see what Yoshua finds. 25. Now the rest of the acts of Ammon, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? And yes, they are. And we will find there further witnesses of this masterful workman. 26. And he was buried in the sepulchre in the garden of Uzzah, and Yoshua his son reigned in his stead. So they're going to bury now Ammon, this masterful workman, right there in the same place this Manasseh was buried. His father's sepulchre there in this garden of Uzzah, this garden of the strength of women, this pleasant place even that they've made. See, that's what all this represents. There's much pleasantry going on, as well as much deception going on. But we're going to find something, and this is what we're looking for here the whole time. All right, we're going to move on now to chapter 22.